Steller's J. Hey, Karen, do you know what a Steller's J is? There's one in our backyard.
Morning.
Hi, I'm watching a Steller's J.
Oh,
You know what those look like?
no.
They've got a really rad hairdo.
Eh,
Top, you know, it's like, it does. It looks like, you know how people get wax and they make their hair stand up straight?
yeah.
That's what Steller's J looks like. Yeah, see, Karen? It's the Steller's J.
Wow. He's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, we have a couple of them in our backyard nowadays. Well, I think a lot of these birds are, you know, migratory, so they come and they go. It's blue, like a blue jay, but it's a really brilliant blue, dark blue. And then it's got a black head and it comes, the top goes like that, you know. And
Wow.
it all goes up like that. like somebody had a wax job.
I never heard of them.
Well, I've got a book from the Audubon Society, so I looked it up.
Oh, that's special. I've only seen regular blue jays. We have some here.
Yeah, we have had regular blue jays for years, but this year we got Steller's jay. And I think it's because of COVID-19 probably, because it's more of a native bird, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good thing. Oh, look at that. Good use of that piece of paper. Okay. What's new?
Well, it's Monday.
Oh, yeah. Is Monday fun day?
Not usually. Getting off to a slow start.
Actually, Mondays is notorious in research literature that shows that more people die on Monday than any other day. And also, more people die at a particular time on Monday. That's 9 o'clock. And you go and figure out, now, why would that be?
They can't get started.
It's
Oh,
relief.
it's jobs they hate is the idea.
Yeah, right. Relief from having to go to work, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's why people shop, isn't it? For relief, it's a therapy.
Well, you know, I can't be too snooty. One of the things that I enjoy and I would never have is my food delivered. Well, I can always give a very rational reason. I get to pick over what's on the shelves, and it satisfies that curiosity of not getting something I'm unhappy with. But there's another reason. Gets me out of the house, and I like that.
Well, you socialize.
What's
In a
that?
restaurant, you know, in a restaurant, even if you're not talking to anybody else in the restaurant, you still have a feeling of socializing.
Yeah, that's what Zoom does. It gives you the feeling of socializing while it's just electronic images on a screen.
Well, you could say the same thing for the rest of the world.
Yeah, I know. I am.
It isn't that different.
What's that?
It's not that different.
Oh, yeah, I see where you're going with it. The illusion that they're really there and in physical bodies and interacting in physical bodies. Yeah, I see that's where you're going.
And today's lesson is all about that.
Every lesson for the last 2 weeks has been all about that. Come on, Michael.
And here we are, we've got a full moon in Aquarius.
Yeah, I saw the moon yesterday, and it wasn't in Aquarius. It was in the sky. I swear, it really looked good up there too, because there was this white cloud that it was illuminating, and it was really full.
About
So
2 o'clock in the morning, I mean, 2 p.m. your time,
hmm
it'll
hmm
be exactly full.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was
I've been feeling
rather
that for
full.
days. Have you been
What's
feeling
that?
it? You been feeling the energy?
Feeling the energy. Well, I don't know. To be honest,
Well, you don't know.
it
Yeah.
feels the same for the last 3 months. Things have felt the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Pressure
Uh,
cookers on. The little,
I'm probably just not sensitive to
I
energy.
don't know.
Well, a lot of stuff happens with full moons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have werewolves that are on the prowl. Werewolves in London. No, it's really true that there's actually in studies there's
What were you gonna say, Mike?
What's that?
What were you gonna say, Mike, about that?
Well, for example, I was taking a walk one evening
Yeah.
by this park, and a police officer pulled up and got out and asked me if I'd seen anything suspicious. And I said, no, I haven't, but there's the full moon. The full moon. And he said, oh shit.
Uh-huh.
Because apparently they get busy on full moons.
Yeah.
That's true. That's what I was saying. The literature actually bears them out. You've got more weird stuff, more crimes, more stuff, and you can look at entries into hospitals. There's an increase, and there's an increase in police blotters that bears this out. So there's something to full moons, you know.
Yeah.
I don't really make fun of that when there's really some science that backs it.
Well, you're getting kind of woo-woo there, Dan.
Woo. Well, woo woo is my middle name. What do you know?
Oh, okay.
Also, hoo hoo and woo woo.
I guess
Give me a call anytime.
we'll have to permit that on because it's a full moon.
Okay, all right. Actually, I just put I posted a nice little video showing there might be something to astrology from a scientific point of view because of they're able to determine geomagnetic effects because their instrumentation has gotten more sensitive, and you can actually see a lineup of certain overlapping events like sunspots. What's it? I don't even
It's
know.
called geomancy.
What's that?
It's called geomancy.
Yeah, well, geomancy is what holding sticks and finding water wells, and that there's these lines of whatever. But it was actually trying to get scientific about it.
Well, yeah, those instruments are finding things like ley lines and other energy fields that they didn't believe in because they couldn't identify.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see where you're going. Yes. Yes. Yes.
See, this little this is a very complicated scientific instrument here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what that is. You see, when I was at Kripalu, we would have this lunch break.
You can
And
find energy lines. You can find energy lines with this.
yeah, so what always comes to me when you hold up those pendulums for which way is, and this is true. I'm in a long line cafeteria style. It's Kripalu, and we're trying to get back to our sevas which start at 1 o'clock, and there's a guest. And the guest, there's all these selections as you go down the line. She's holding a pendulum over the food. And the idea, if it goes this way, it's no, and it goes this way, yes. but she's taking a long time with each entry down the line. And there's a whole group of us who are waiting to get back to work. And we have to breathe into that, till this woman finishes her holding up the pendulum and figuring out what she's going to have on her plate. And I think that after a while, having events like that sort of prejudiced me about these things. Not that they don't work, but they have a built-in frustration thing for certain people like myself.
Oh, sure, I understand. You're always welcome to say, excuse me, and walk past her.
No, you couldn't do that. You see, we had an agreement that guests had priority because we were only there to serve the guests. And our job was to make the guests feel at home. And
But
if
you're
you
a
did
Gemini. You're a Gemini, Dan. And you, of all people, should know that rules are made to be broken.
that might be true, but when you're in a job situation in which you're being reviewed yearly in your performance, I'm a little less of a rebel.
Not much of a risk taker.
I am not a big risk taker, and that's probably why I have so much white hair and white beard.
And frustration.
Well, I think the frustration would have come along anyway for the ride. Part of my samskaras, we come in. We don't come in as a totally clean slate. You do know that.
Well, today's lesson says it can be about myself that I crucify.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But, there's another iambic pentameter sentence right after that in here that says, all that I do unto myself. It's got the same beautiful rhythm to it.
Yes.
As I'm walking along, it sounds like this. All that I do unto myself.
All that I do.
All that I do unto myself. And that pretty well sums up everything right there. It sums up the whole experience we have here on this planet.
True.
Everything. All that I do. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. Simple. Wow, this is like a formula. It's mathematics right here. All that I do unto myself.
Yeah, that's a good line. The other lines is all subject to interpretation. Well, what do you mean by forgive? And what do you mean by salvation?
And what do you mean by crucify?
Yeah. But the phrase, all that I do unto myself, is crystal clear. And you don't have to read a whole lot of metaphysics to understand that all you're doing, there's no one out there. You don't need a whole lot of metaphysics. Every one of your actions that you think you're doing unto others, you're doing unto yourself. It's a great line. I agree with you, Mike. It's a great line.
It's right up there with Persa's line, there's nobody else in the room.
Yeah. Who is Perseus in that?
Persa.
What's that?
Persa.
Persa.
You know that beautiful woman that showed up on Gary Renard's couch one day?
Oh yeah. It's funny when I read Gary Renard about those two beings, I sort of skip over the names. I just realize it's just himself talking, and he's presented in this way so it makes a good novel, a good book.
I guess the scientific
It has physical appearances of himself that's manifested or not. It's his inner self talking, perhaps.
Well, there's nobody else in the room, Dan.
Yeah. I try to remember that when I'm on Zoom, but sometimes I forget it.
We'll have to say that to Gary Renard next time we see him.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I read your book, you know. I thought that Art in Person trip was really funny. You should be better. There's nobody else in the room.
Yeah, I really like that, you know, to make them aware of the linguistic, you know, the linguistic play there of there's no one else in the room yet, you know, he's talking to these entities. Yeah.
But you know, it's a pretty cool ploy because
It is.
if you find it interesting and you're willing to accept this you know, like incredible scenario, then your mind is really open to everything else that he says.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a neat technique, but I've had comments from a number of people who were just totally turned off and kind of wanted to dismiss him as a, you know, like a bunko artist or something. You know, they don't take him seriously for the same reason that some people might be intrigued and want to read him because of the way he presents things.
Sure. And the course has an answer for that too. Let's see what that answer is. I think it's probably right in the introduction to the text.
You're getting good on transitions.
Let's see what it says here. Yes, this is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary.
Yes.
Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum.
Right, right.
It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good. I remember that introduction. We do it every now and then when we start over in our Course in Miracle group. And I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
It also says, you know, miracles are happening all the time, and if you're not aware of it, there you're somehow something. It's an indicator of, you know, of something. I forget exactly how it phrases. I don't want to use the word something wrong, but
Something like you're just being a bunko artist.
yeah. Whatever. But you know, but then again, you have to realize when it says forgiveness, it says miracles, when it says spirit, Holy Spirit, and it says all these things, it's using them in a totally different way than Orthodox Christianity uses the same terms.
Thank God.
I agree 100%. You think a good Jewish boy like me would bother with A Course in Miracles if I thought it was Orthodox Christianity all over again?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, Ken's Jewish. There's a lot of teachers. Rosenthal, he's Jewish. It's really cool. But, you know, Jews are, generally speaking, you know, they have strong intellects. And I think that's why there seems to be so many followers of the Course, because
and not only just for the Course,
perfectly logical, you know.
Yeah. But not only for the Course, you'll find in that period in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when new age movements got started, whether you're looking at Buddhism, Vipassana, Hinduism, and different forms of yogas and so forth, you'll find a lot of Jewish people that far out surpasses their numbers. You know, like for instance, Kripalu, I would say about 15 to 20% of the people there were Jewish. Okay, now when you consider only 5 to 6% of the population is Jewish, it's an interesting phenomenon why so many of them were drawn to these groups.
Yeah, yeah. I think that again, I think that the training that is that so many Jewish people are privy to, just part of the culture. the training is so refined.
Yeah, but what I would say from personal experiences, just like kids are sent to Catholic schools and they have this parochial education. I had the same kind of traditional education, where there's this big emphasis on religion, and yet finding it totally unsatisfying and unfulfilling, which made me very hungry to experience something that took me out of my pain and my suffering. And for whatever, I first looked at psychotherapy stuff, like when I'm 12, I'm reading Freud and Jung and all these psychotherapists and seeing, okay. But the thing that really turned me on when I started to read like Alan Watts, Psychotherapy East and West was the beginning of it. And then finding Yogananda and all these other people. And the first thing I knew is like, I felt really, really called, to discover something. I don't know if that's everybody's story, but that's my personal story.
Yeah, me too. In fact, there's a particular psychiatrist psychologist who was really popular in the 60s. He had a very kind of unusual take, a radical take on schizophrenia.
I'm going to guess who it is.
Good.
If you let me.
Please do. I can't think of his name.
R.D. Lang.
Yeah, that's right. R.D. Lang.
I knew right away you were talking. I had the picture in my mind. I read his stuff and I really liked it.
Yeah. Wasn't that a relief?
Yes.
Yeah.
That going crazy is a healing process, not a terrible thing that has to be, people need to be shut away and the stigma that you're crazy. I really shifted my whole perception that there's something really good about being a little crazy in the society that's insane.
Yeah, and there's Gabor
Mate, or whatever his name.
Yeah, in addiction treatment, same way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A big relief, a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're really fortunate, I think, in this life here, there's people that are waking up for the first time and writing books and telling about their experience. And it's so wonderful to have those people, to have that information available, to read about their discoveries and celebrate with them how freeing it is to have a fresh perspective. And we've been so blessed with so many books, and now the internet, that all these ideas are out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. When I was younger, when I first started like being interested in spiritual things, if somebody suggested like maybe having meditation or yoga in the school system, they would be met with horror that you're trying to indoctrinate children with a foreign religion and this is terrible. And I've noticed that it's been, like meditation and maybe perhaps even yoga, and these ideas that we're talking about are so pervasive in the culture now that you don't get that level of resistance. And that's a big change. That's a really
sure
big
is,
change.
and there's nothing that the people who want to make us great can do about it either. It's a fait accompli.
It is. It's amazing how much it's permeated the cultural mind in the United States.
And it's just going to get more intense too.
Yes.
More pervasive. Yeah. It's going to be normal. Like what Arden and Persa had to say about the Course, that in 500 years, everybody will know about it.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Unless they start warring, different factions of the Course start warring with one another. Oh, you don't have the right version of the Course in Miracles. You need to go to the text, and we have the truth, and you don't, and then you reproduce the same schisms as you have in medieval Christendom.
But what I really like is the restaurant at the end of the universe.
What's that?
The restaurant.
Oh, yes, I love Douglas Adams. In fact, I just posted a few of his quotes on my Facebook page.
Yeah, I like that so much that last week I decided to deposit a penny in my credit union account.
Was that an idea from the restaurant at the end of the universe?
Yes, those meals at the restaurant at the end of the universe are extremely expensive. I mean, out of this world.
Out of this world, yes.
But the thing is, I'm gonna reincarnate at the end of the universe, and I'm gonna use that penny that I put in the credit union last week to pay for my meal.
Oh, you're a man of great faith, great faith, great faith.
I'm gonna sit there in the universe and watch in that restaurant, and I'm gonna watch the universe disappear while I eat my steak.
Yeah, but when you're in that state, there's no interval between what you're doing right now and the end of the universe. It's all happening at the same time.
Well, it's okay. If I forgive, my salvation will be given me.
Right, right. That's why it's good to practice forgiveness at every moment. And how do you practice forgiveness? The realization that what you're seeing with your physical eyes is not real. And it never happened.
You realize that if you do anything but forgive, you're going to be fucked.
Yeah. Yes, I do. And that's why I get upset at myself when I start getting drawn into the emotions of political comments.
Yeah, really.
If I was really a pure being, I wouldn't have anything else but spiritual upliftment on my Facebook page. Of course, if I did that, nobody would ever check in on my Facebook page.
And when I woke up this morning, somebody, one of my friends had posted that, let's see, what was it? It was awful. Trump and his son, Jared Kushner, should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. And then people who had read the article talked about how heavy it was, And I thought, nope, that's not how I want to start my day.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I start every day when I can, and I think of it, and I'm actually posting. I like to start every day with a good laugh.
Because it can be but myself I crucify.
There you go.
Okay.
And all that I do, I'm doing them unto myself. There's no other out there. I'm doing it to myself. That's a biggie. If you really understand it, that's a biggie.
Yeah.
No one else is in the room.
And that's science. It's quantum physics.
Yeah. That's why it's taken it so long for people to accept quantum mechanics, is because it challenges everybody's common sense perception of trusting their physical eyes about what they see.
It undoes the ego.
Yeah. Exactly why there's joint ground between scientists who are into quantum mechanics and in fact I'm going to look at that film. I think what was her name, Luke, the Gnostic woman had about David Bohm. I'm going to come back and look at it. I know a little bit about what he was saying, but there's a YouTube reference to it that I have in my mind to get to as soon as I can take an hour or so.
I posted a link to it on this page.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's great. I'm going to watch it again. It's just so good.
I definitely have it on my watch list when I give myself free time to sit for an hour or so in front of a YouTube video.
Yeah, it's got everything. It's got history. It's got the ego of resistance.
Hmm.
You know, it's got McCarthy labeling him as a communist. But this guy, you can tell, you know, he's so unaffected by that. In a way, he's
Yeah.
affected. Of course, he's disappointed and everything, but he's so dedicated to serving mankind and to his work. That's all. That's what he just goes right back into his work. He finds another place um, to land, ends up living the rest of his life in England, in London. Um,
Beautiful, beautiful.
he just keeps doing his research. He's
Yeah.
just because he's really focused. You know, same thing with us. We've got a course in miracles or whatever our spiritual path might be, and if we just stay focused on that, all the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune can't touch us.
Exactly. You know, and it really has happened for me, because I used to check out all the different paths, and I wasn't even sure which one I would say is like my home path. But I am very clear in my mind that even I'm looking at other things occasionally for inspiration. That the Course of Miracles is my path. And
Yeah.
it's what I want to practice all the time now, as long as I can envision it, because I think it really is. So to me, it appeals to me as the highest distillation of truth that I can work with in a practical way. That's in my reach.
Yeah, it's kind of got a foundation on Western thought, and so it's something that we're kind of familiar with to begin with, and I think that helps. You know, it
Right.
helps.
I mean, if I was living in India, I would really try to find an Indian guru. But I'm not living in India. I'm living here, and
Yeah,
what speaks to me very, very clearly and on a very deep level is A Course in Miracles.
me too.
So,
Yeah, and
amen, brother. I just gave my testimony.
that's okay. There's
Praise Jesus.
no one here is going to be dumb enough to crucify you for that.
Perfect response.
Well, let's do this meditation here. All that I do unto myself. Wow,
Great
what
line.
relief! I mean, it gives us so much power and control. We get to decide whether we're going to be happy or not.
Earlier he says, all that I give unto myself. It's the same. The same idea. And all that I do unto myself, and etc.
Yeah. So let's go for it.
Yeah.
On your mark,
Okay.
get set. Oh,
Gentlemen, start your meditation engines.
I'm going to stop that. And I'm going to start over because it wasn't
Oh, okay. Start over.
it wasn't loud enough.
I heard it perfectly.
I'm going to make it louder.
Oh, okay. Didn't sound any louder to me, but that's okay.
Not louder.
It sounded the same to me. All right, enough of that nonsense.
Yeah. Well, we've got a really good fundamental expression of the course to carry with us today. To just remember, oh boy, if we can stop our reactions with this thought before we open our mouths, we'll be doing great.
All right, guys, don't crucify yourself out there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey. So have a good day.
you too.
Thanks.
Love to all.